Officials, you may be seated.
And good afternoon once again from Ponds Forge. Here we go with another session. 50 meters butterfly will be a little swim off before we start the formal proceedings. And then we'll get into the lineup for this evening. Mr. Dunlop, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. An absolutely lovely day. Looking forward to these finals. I mean, this afternoon, the standout swim for me coming up. And you can talk us through the gents. I had, of course, the ladies earlier on this afternoon. And for me, the 200-metre breaststroke, I think it's going to be their second last final of the day. The heats were incredible. And as we've mentioned a few times throughout the weekend, you can go back and watch anything. The final should be brilliant. Sienna Robinson, Melly Renshaw, Lily Booker. Hazel Oz can beat Megan Orison in her heat. I think we've got a few finals at the moment in the venue of a couple of races. And just some fantastic heats and setting up very, very nicely. So many juniors, again, making it through into the finals this evening. I want to say finals, it's the open final, of course, 2 finals for each race. The quickest 10 from the heats, and then the otherwise fastest 16 years and under. And in the last couple of nights, Bob, anything to go by, we are in for an absolute treat.
I think we are, and also I should say that the one I'm most intrigued by is the men's 50 meters butterfly. It'll be one of the quickest, if not the quickest, races of the evening. But Jacob Peters went absolutely storming through in his heat this morning to do a new PB of 22.57. Now, I've had a little wager with Matt Richards, who was second overall, that Jacob Peters doesn't go faster tonight. And I said I think he will. He says he doesn't think he will. So
give us your reasoning for that one, Bob.
I think he looks so good, and I think he actually has a bit more pace to burn for tonight. So it won't be much. Obviously, it's a 50, so there's not going to be a massive improvement. But I think he can knock a tenth, maybe 2 tenths off it, and that'll be a new PB. So yeah, a PB 2.257. Pretty much a second quicker than Matt Richards and a second and a bit quicker than Jamie Ingram. I think that we could see potentially him go down to 22.4, maybe 22.3. Let's see. But Matt thinks he pretty much burned it all out this morning. He doesn't think he's going to beat. I don't think he thinks he's going to beat. Though he didn't say that in as many words, but I think he knows he's got a bit of a tussle on his hands to win that.
And just to kick things off, swim off, Bob.
Yeah.
You've got the details there.
I have. So Adam Candil of Hamilton Aquatics of Dubai will take on the 15-year-old. Will take on a 13-year-old, Abdul Jabbar Adama of Mount Kelly. Now they both did 25.81. You wait and see. They'll both go quicker in the swim. It always happens that the two in the pool will always on the swim off pretty much go faster than they did in the original swim. 25.81. Candil in 4. Adama in 5. Dubai and Mount Kelly. Hamilton Aquatics is going to be lane 4, I think. Wow, that's tight. Goodness me. 25.50, 25.54. And yes, of course, they both went about a quarter of a second quicker than they did in the original swim.
Yeah, and once again, the noise on the far side from the fans from Mount Kelly. They have been the noisiest throughout the entire weekend, and Abdul Jabbar Adama giving them more reason to celebrate.
Wow. Well, what a start. But as we always predict on these things, the sort of always results in both of the swimmers inevitably and invariably going faster. And exactly what they did on that occasion. I'd say it's something that baffles me in all the years I've watched swimming. I do not get it. The swimmers can never explain it. The coaches can never explain it. Why they didn't do that time originally. Especially in a sprint where you're not looking, I mean, longer distance events where you might be looking around other people, maybe I get that, you might be influenced, but in a sprint, you've got your head down, you're not looking at anybody else. So if you could do that time early and go straight through to a final, why have to have another swim to get to that final?
It's got to be just psychological. The focus is on you. There's only 2 of you where you're not spread across 8 or 10 across the pool. And when you've got half the audience here cheering for you as well, all in your head, absolutely certainly. So we are, big clock on the screen here in the venue, counting down from 60 seconds to our first final of the evening. So we've got a couple of, in fact, a quad of 400-metre individual medleys. Individual medleys never ever fail to disappoint. That's some absolute crackers last night. more to enjoy first up tonight. And just looking through the timing sheets here, some names that will stand out straight away in our first women's Open 400 IM. Amber Keegan, Lily Booker, Amelia Monaghan, all these girls will be mentioning their names throughout the entire weekend. And this is their last chance, last competition of the year to pick up some national medals here at Ponsford. It's been a wonderful, wonderful 3-day weekend. I hope you've enjoyed us talking you through it across the two pools. Of course, we converge now, just concentrating on this all-important North medals pool. And we've probably got about 65 to 70 minutes of pure medal racing action.
Did you notice, by the way, earlier they called it the North Pole and South Pole? Did you notice that on the screen? You probably didn't see it. They actually changed it from North Pole to South Pole to North Pole and South Pole. So
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, lovely.
Anyway, first up for the session proper, if you like, is the women's 400 metres individual medley. And this is an event that you watched earlier on today. Give me a little lowdown on this.
Sorry, Bob, I was just watching the swimmers come in.
Miles away. I said, so you watched this earlier on. Give me a little lowdown on what to expect from this.
I think it's what everybody's going to be expecting. When you've got the names like Booker, Keegan and Monaghan, they are the ones out there in front. The absolute standout was Loughborough's Lily Booker, 20 years old. She was 2 seconds quicker than anybody else in the pool, 2.5 in fact. But you still get the sense, every single heat I've watched across the 3 days, the names at the top that you expect to be flying through, they hold back about 2 or 3 seconds in the heats. They just get themselves in the final, get themselves these centre lanes, and then when it becomes showtime, like we've just seen in the swim-off, just they find an extra, even if it's half a gear, when the medals are on the line. I anticipate Lily Booker winning this by a couple of seconds. Monaghan and Keegan, it's going to be close. I very much hope to see Frances New and Beatrice Farley getting involved.
And with the retirement now of Hannah Miley and Amy Wilmot, we need a new star in the 400 metres individual medley. Are we going to find one in this race? Ella Dyson of Wickham, Leah Schlossen of City of Leeds, Frances New from Birmingham University, Amber Keegan for City of Sheffield in 3, Lily Booker, fastest qualifier with a 4:42 this morning in lane 4, Amelia Monaghan of Sheffield in 5, Beatrice Farley of Plymouth in 6, Lara Thompson from Leeds in 7, and Abigail Miles of Sheffield and Evie Dilly make up the 10. And it's already pretty competitive, just 1/100th between Keegan and Booker. It may well go that way all the way through in this race. Frances New also in the mix at the moment. It's a very stacked lineup here, one of the best races potentially we might have during the course of this whole session. It might well change complexion quite a few times. Amber Keegan for Sheffield, just edging out Lily Booker at this stage with the first 100, with the butterfly having been done. As we know, we've said many times before, it's really 4 races in one here. Butterfly to backstroke, then the breaststroke and the freestyle, the front crawl. Everybody has uneven strengths, which will get to be shown here. Amber Keegan, 24 years of age, from City of Sheffield, 4:45 this morning. Probably capable. She knows every drop of water in this pool, and that's putting some pressure on the rest of the field. Lily Booker is tracking her all the way. A bit of a gap opening up between the top 2 and the rest now. 3.68 behind is Amelia Monaghan. This is impressive stuff from Amber Keegan, and just did what she did this morning to make that time with a 4:45. Looking very good on the backstroke leg. They're really opening up this field. I thought it might be a bit more tight, looking at the times this morning, but no. Amber is showing the way home at the moment. This is the halfway stage for Amber Keegan. And she has a lead of about 2.5 seconds over Lily Booker. Race really begins now, of course, with the breaststroke, doesn't it? This is where it really kicks in. who has got the best breast and who can come through potentially with this stroke. Well, Amber Keegan is keeping a respectful distance between her and Lily Booker at this stage. They are the only two in the frame for 1 and 2. At the moment, it is Amber for City of Sheffield leading the way. Gap is maybe getting a bit smaller between the leader and second, but let's get an idea from the clock how big it is. It's 2 seconds between our leader and second place. Third at the moment is Amelia Monaghan. Fourth, Frances New of Birmingham University, and then Beatrice Varley in 5th place. But this is front running of the highest order. And at the moment, the breaststroke is working pretty well for Amber Keegan. Lily Booker is, again, about the same distance behind, and nobody behind is making much of a gap between those two close. And it's going to come down to the front crawl. It's going to come down to the 100 meters, but suddenly Lily Booker's looking like she's going to get close to the feet of Amber Keegan on that turn. Still a decent advantage though. 2.41 it is, as here comes the front crawl. And this is impressive stuff from the home swimmer. And if anything, visibly looks like she might potentially be going away. Amelia Monaghan is still in 3rd place. So 1, 2, 3 has not changed pretty much throughout the course of this race. And Amber Keegan only has one thought on her mind, with last 50 to come, about winning this, and it looks like she's going to, because she's opening up a bigger lead now. 3.62 seconds over Lily Booker. The home crowd should be getting behind the home swimmer, because she is powering to victory. Nobody's going to get close. Very, very solid performance. Time this morning was 4 minutes and 45.45. Well, she's going to be massively inside that. Massively inside that. What a swim. What a great afternoon swim from Amber Keegan. Not only the swim, but the margin of victory as well. Nearly 5 seconds. Amber Keegan, Lily Booker, Amelia Monaghan, the 1, 2, 3, and that time again for Amber Keegan, 4:34.26, and a beautifully paced race for the City of Sheffield swimmer.
So, Bob, they were the 3 names we anticipated. Maybe not the order. She turned a 1.5 second deficit into a 5 second advance. That's not a small win, that's a huge win there for Amber Keegan in terms of over Lily Booker, for Loughborough University student. We know that's an incredible university, and they've got the National Centre there as well. But that is one to really sort of nail to the flag post and say, look, this is what I did here. And she is the national winter champion with an incredible time, 4:34. You've got to imagine her entry time, or time this morning, was 4:45. I know we haven't got this information, but that must be close to or a new personal best for Amber Keegan.
Yeah, I would have thought so. We've chucked those sheets away, unfortunately, so I can't tell you. Well, actually, I might potentially still have it somewhere. Looking to see what her entry time is for that. Oh, so I do have it. Let's have a look. What was her entry time? 4:34. Oh, 4:34.13.
Oh, Nelly.
She was 13/100ths outside it. There you go. Okay, I kept the sheets from earlier on, but yeah, 13/100ths outside her personal best. That. Right, we're into the junior version now. And really impressed with what Camden Swiss are doing this week. And they've got another fast swimmer in lane 4. Very small program in their northwest London, but they are producing some very good youngsters. And you'll be mentioning, I'm sure, as indeed I will, Phoebe Cooper in this one, 13 years of age.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to point out. Some incredible youngsters who are home swimmers, City of Sheffield. Phoebe Cooper, 13 years old, second fastest of the remaining juniors in this one, of a 4:55.74, 2 seconds slower than Ella McKeever of Camden Swiss.
Always like to highlight the work being done by the inverted commas smaller clubs. Camden Swiss being a good case in point. They've got some great young talent, both male and female, and they've got the fastest qualifier for this junior final in Ella McKeever. 16 years of age, but watch out for 13-year-old. What a phenomenon she potentially could be. Phoebe Cooper of City of Sheffield going in lane number 5. And we have 4 swimmers, actually 5 swimmers who run the 5 minutes this morning. And Phoebe Cooper, maybe hearing what I'm saying through the PA system here, is our early leader. Annabelle Wilkinson in second place, then Marissa Booth. Phoebe with a 4:55.74. She's got Annabelle Wilkinson, a teammate alongside her, one 13-year-old and one 16-year-old. But everybody here talking in glowing terms of the potential for Phoebe Cooper, and she's showing it at the age of 13. No fear. It's kind of what you want to see from young swimmers, and she certainly does not have that. No fear whatsoever. Lane 5, 2 Sheffield swimmers at the front of the field too. 1-2 at the moment. 0.47 between Cooper and Wilkinson. Then it's Marissa Booth in third place, and followed closely by Kate Morris. So Sheffield 1 and 2 as they go into the backstroke leg. And this will obviously help. This is a bit like a training session for these two. They'll be looking at each other, knowing what they do in training. Phoebe looking like she's got everything pretty much sussed as far as the backstroke is concerned. See what happens when we get round to the breast, but still 0.75 between the two of them at this stage. See if anybody else potentially can work their way through the field, but Phoebe's entry time is 4:50.19, and she at 4:55. This one is a 4:50.19, I believe, is a personal best. And looking like everything working metronomically for her, and still being followed by her teammate Annabelle Wilkinson. Anything happening to change things behind? Not really. Marissa Booth still third. Now moving up into fourth, Kate Morris. And so far, for those who haven't seen Phoebe before, which will be a majority of you, I imagine, probably amazed just how smooth she looks at the age of 13. Definite potential talent, and Annabelle Wilkinson too. At 4:58 this morning, but look at Phoebe Cooper. Seems to have even strength strokes. There'll be other people who've got pretty strong breaststroke to come back, including Marissa Booth of Wickham District, but well over halfway now, of course. 2:50 that is, 150 to go. And Phoebe Cooper is just plowing on relentlessly. Could she get under 4:50 today, which would be her personal best, and that is incredibly impressive. Let's say, when you think about the likes of Hannah Miley and Amy Wilmot not being with us any longer, we're probably looking towards Paris, and certainly looking towards LA for our 400 IMA. Could it be potentially Phoebe Cooper we're talking about at the moment? We're talking about her all the time because she is leading this by a long way. That lead is getting bigger and bigger. Moving up into second place in a moment, it would seem, is Ella McKeever of Camden Swiss, but it's hard to see anybody getting. That's 5.76 is the advantage with 100 to go. And whilst they might be battling for second place, 75 to go, it seems hard to believe that anybody's going to really get that close to Phoebe Cooper. Battle really is joined for second place. That's mighty tight, but the lead is not. McKeever still holding on to second, though. Coming right back at her is Marissa Booth of Wickham District. Just 50 to go for Phoebe Cooper. So that PB, 4:50. Looks like that's going to go. Almost certainly. This race is certainly hers. And second place might go to Marissa Booth, 16-year-old from Wickham District. She's worked her way into second place. And Ella McKeever in third. Last few meters for our leader. Well, that 4:50's gone. 4:50 has been absolutely smashed to smithereens. 4:46.26 for Phoebe Cooper. Remember where you saw her maybe first. That is mightily impressive for a 13-year-old. Marissa Booth in second place, and Ella McKeever. We've had two exceptional back-to-back swimmers, both from City of Sheffield. Amber Keegan, followed by an amazing display by Phoebe Cooper.
I mean, if not the performance of the night, potentially the performance of the weekend there, Bob. Just to put that time into perspective, a 4:46.26. That, if it had happened in the heats, that would have put it in the centre 4 lanes of the Open final. So absolutely astonishing. One thing, just anecdotally, Bob, a question. When you've got a teammate next to you in a lane, how much of an advantage is that?
Well, the only thing is, how often do you race your teammate? How often do you, I mean, you'll train with them day in, day out, and you'll do sets with them day in, but how often do you actually really race them? That's the question. So it might be kind of a bit of an unreal situation. The person in the adjoining lane happens to be, it's like when two Brits get drawn together at Olympics or World Champs. It's quite weird, but in all the draw, you are next to somebody that you perhaps race in normal conditions back home. But yeah, I don't know whether that's an advantage or not, but it seems to me that she is so focused. She doesn't really care about who she's racing or what cap they're wearing or what club they represent. And to me, that is one of the most mature performances I've ever seen from a young swimmer, and she is 13 years of age. Now, keeping people in the sport is the big question, right? Because 14, 15, 16, they're fine boys, and boys find girls, and or whatever combination. You know, so it's keeping somebody like that in the sport. Because if she progresses like she's doing right now, she could potentially be world class. I mean, all right, it's a short course time, 4:46, which probably be about early 5s in terms of long course, but she can knock that time down. 13, by the time she's 16, she could be down to 4:30s, 4:40s, and that is world class.
Now, I'm so sure she's thinking Los Angeles. Paris, realistic, or is that a little bit too soon?
I think it's probably too soon. I think it's too soon, but she does seem a phenomenon, so we'll see. So we see what the women have in store for us. Now let's see what the men can provide in the 400 metres individual medley. So I'll run through that lineup for you again. Luke Gibson of Loughborough, Oliver O'Halloran of Derwentide, then 3 Loughborough University swimmers side by side. Max Murphy, Ben Harrison, Charlie Hutchison, Jacob Greenow from Bath University, John Britton from Ealing, William Riley from Bath University, and then 2 from Ellesmere in the outside lane in 8 and 9, George Smith and Isaac Dodds. Charlie Hutchison was 5 seconds, almost exactly 5 seconds quicker than everybody else, but we've seen the heats don't always give you an indication of what things are. What you've got to do is, of course, qualify first and then worry about it later. How much do you keep in the tank, especially on the 400 AM, a very sapping event. We'll have something left in the tank for later on in the day, and that's what we're seeing here. These 2 400 AMs coming pretty close together. Jacob Greenow, though, is person setting the pace at 100. Charlie Hutchison in 2nd place. 3rd is Ben Harrison. It's a bit of a Loughborough and Bath fest at the moment. About body length and yeah, a little bit between our leader and the rest, but obviously early stages as we move into the backstroke leg, where he has their relative strengths. First 50 done of that stroke. Jacob Greenow with a 1.12 advantage now, with Ben Harrison in 3rd place. Here comes Will Riley of Bath University. And again, pretty strung out at this stage with the all-important breaststroke leg to come. That's a decent advantage at the moment, coming towards halfway for our leader. Greenow, 22-year-old from Bath University, got a 4:17 this morning. Has a 1.15. In fact, he just took a little bit out of the field on that 50. About 3/100ths of a second. Now Charlie Hutchison's breaststroke might just kick in. Start bringing him a bit closer towards Jacob in lane number 5, but still quite a sizable margin between 1 and 2, and an even big one between 2 and 3. Ben Harrison. Bath and Loughborough having a battle at the moment. Well ahead of that battle is Jacob Greenow in lane number 5. Lead actually up to 1.74, so another half a second taken out of the field by our leader, who's having a bit of a procession at the moment. Still quite a bit to go in this race, but is there anybody who's going to quite get on terms with him? Not at the moment, it seems. 1, 2, 3, pretty solid at the moment. Nobody's really challenging for third place. So if there's a battle on, it's between 1 and 2. Jacob still in the ascendant. The lead's quite as big though now. No, it's not. Just been trimmed down to 1.34, but still sizable as we get to the front crawl. Harrison 4.20, so top 3. I think it's going to stay that way. Whether it's going to stay in the same order, we'll find out. 75 to go, and the race is most definitely on between Bath University's Jacob Greenow and Charlie Hutchison of Loughborough University, the pride of those two units. It's almost like a Bucks meeting here between these two, and the gap is closing. Half a second between the swimmer in lane 5 and the swimmer in lane 4, and still 25 meters to go. It is going to be an absolute race to the finish. Straight into his stroke is Jacob Greenow. Charlie Hutchison's going to respond in kind. They're going to go to the wall together, and for the first time, Charlie Hutchison's going to get in front, I think. It's going to be lane 4, surely. No! Jacob Greenow gets it by 4/100ths of a second. What a finish. What a finish from Jacob Greenow. Managed to hold on by 4/100ths. Ben Harrison, 4:12.22 in third place. Absolutely on the touch. Quite a remarkable finish. And Jacob Greenow, 4:07.99, the winning time.
My jaw just dropped when that came up on the screen in the venue here, Bob. I think anybody here watching would have thought Charlie Hutchinson had that right in the last couple of meters, but then it pops up 400ths of a second. That happened a couple of times yesterday when visually it looks completely different, but hey, we go with the timing boards. And you almost forgot about Ben Harrison there in a bronze medal position. Fantastic swim in 4:12, so a 5-second difference from the heats. He turns it round to a 400ths advantage when it absolutely matters in the final. Bath University and Loughborough taking the top 5 spots, in fact. Silver, bronze and 5th place. Bath first and 4th. As always, going head-to-head, those two big centres, or universities, in fact, not the national centres for those 5. But once again, whenever you've got those guys in the final from those two universities, you know it's going to be head-to-head. They are absolute rivals, and big cheers and jumping up around the venue when that did come up on the screen. Another great final to get this session well underway now. Deep into it, coming up next, it is the 16 years and under.
And the question is, will we see another gold from Ruben Rowbottom Keating? 3 yesterday, and he's in the centre lane again.
Yeah, absolutely the man to beat. What a performance yesterday. I mean, he is physically, he's probably the biggest, strongest looking guy of the 16-year-olds. He looks a few years old. He does not look like a 16-year-old. And that physical advantage, it sort of dominates. Maybe that gets into your head. If you're in lanes 3 and 5 stood next to this Ruben Rowbottom Keating, you're thinking, hang on a second, he's a bit of a monster. And his performances have been absolutely worthy of that adulation. And you would never bet against him getting a 4th gold medal of the weekend here.
No, I certainly wouldn't, on the basis of what we've seen so far this week. Is there anybody who can take him down? Nobody has in finals yet. He's got a 100% record. So let's see.
I think his 3rd gold medal yesterday, he was with a disadvantage going to the final 25 metres, but still pulled it back, so you can absolutely never count him out, whether he's got a lead or trailing into the final few stages. So 400 metres, 16 years and under individual medley. This should be good.
And the great thing about this weekend has been we are seeing some potential stars of the future, some names that perhaps you weren't aware of before this weekend. You certainly know about now. Ruben Rowbottom Keating being a good case in point in lane number 4. 3 gold medals for the City of Manchester aquatic swimmer last night in the race with likes of Oliver Pope of Thanet, Moritz Baumgartner of Mount Kelly, Rhys Grady of Stockport Metro, Oscar Barlow of Taunton, Vadim Bosk of City of Liverpool, Finley Bunajee of Davencio, Rico Brinkman of South Lincolnshire, Jonathan Turk of Mount Kelly, and Luke Paulson of Wickham and District. And guess who's at the front? It'll come no surprise to you. There's the big man from Manchester right up there in lane number 4, the gold lane. Didn't put a foot wrong last night. He's had a very tough weekend in terms of his program, but you wouldn't believe that from the way he is swimming in this one, and has the lead at 159.66 is his 100 split. Second is Finley Bunajee, and third is Oscar Barlow. So the big question, as it has been in the 3 previous finals, can anybody catch the softly spoken giant from City of Manchester? 16-year-old is again ploughing his way through without any real undue alarm yet, but looking like he's coming back on his shoulder is Oscar Barlow of Taunton Dean on the backstroke. Just going to give him some pressure, perhaps just about to take over as well. There's only 1/100th behind him at the turn. Oscar Barlow might just be going ahead. Well, it wouldn't be at all surprising if the Manchester swimmer is feeling the exertions and efforts of the weekend, but he's still very much in there, battling with Oscar Barlow from Taunton Dean. All of these swimmers, barring 2, 16 years of age. And the gap now between Barlow and Rowbottom Keating, 1.46. Finley Bunajee of Davencio in 3rd place, and then is Rhys Grady of Stockport Metro. On to the breast. It is, as I've said numerous times, the stroke that sorts them out. Ultimately, 1, 2, 3 remaining pretty much the same. Good turn by Rowbottom Keating, been working hard on that. He's just closed the gap a little bit on Barlow, right up to his trunks very nearly. Of course, another 50 of this to come, and he might well be alongside him by then. But watch in lane 6, where Finley Bunajee, obviously a breaststroker of some renown, is starting to come back on both of them. So the gap is now 1.35 between the top 3. We have a race on our hands. Barlow is not having it all his own way anymore. Rowbottom Keating and Bunajee, and they all 3 are going to pretty much go to the wall together. Not much of a gap between them, and the top 2 are side by side. Oscar Barlow in 3, Ruben Rowbottom Keating in 4, and up in 6, Finley Bunajee. And all 3 will be going into the front crawl. We have a new leader, Finley Bunajee, by 22/100ths. Barlow in 3rd, but here comes Rowbottom Keating. Loves it when he gets onto the freestyle leg. Almost like a little bell goes, or somebody shines a light, because suddenly he's flying once again, like he was in the early part of the race, so he is once again. And starting to pull away from both Barlow on one side and Bunajee on the other. Another 50 to go, and this will be a 4th gold in a row from 2 days of competition here, if he can hold on. Surely with 1.02 he's going to do just that. Bunajee is putting in a bit of a burst, but with 25 to go, don't think there's too much of a doubt where this is going to go. Looking really good, really secure, and however big the exertions of the weekend are, it's not affecting him too much, and he'll stop the clock at 4:20.82. Finley Bunajee with a 4:22, Oscar Barlow 4:24. You have to, if you have one, take your hat off to another great performance and a battling finish from Ruben Rowbottom Keating of City of Manchester Aquatics.
I mean, not just a fantastic swimmer, but really an entertainer. He does it the hard way. It's a little bit like reminds me of Andy Murray, when you think he might be down and out, but then he comes back right at the end when he needs to, wins it in the final set. What a fantastic swim. Really, really impressed with Finley Bunajee, 16-year-old from Davencio. Very, very solid swim, never outside the top 3, and pulled it back for a silver medal right at the end. But Ruben Rowbottom Keating, that's his final race of the weekend. No more finals for him, but 4 consecutive golds. When we round up this event at the end of the day here, Bob, his name is going to be right at the top of this, isn't he?
Certainly is, and again, we're talking about breakthrough swimmers for the weekend who come in here, you don't really know them, and suddenly get massively impressed. Well, you know, he's 16 years of age. He's going to grow some more. I did talk to his coach earlier today, Mark Rose, to find out what the situation is. He said he's still a work in progress, and obviously at 16 he is a work in progress, because generally male swimmers develop a little bit later. We talked about Phoebe Cooper at 13. Don't get too many 13 males breaking through that early. It tends to take a little while for the men to mature, but you know, he thinks another 2 years. Obviously the centres are going to come calling if he keeps doing that, but he reckons he wants at least another 2 years with him in Manchester to nurture him a bit more and get him moving in the right direction.
I mean, already got that big physical advantage. That's a massive, massive asset. If he's going to continue growing, Bob, he's going to be a frightening size.
And then somebody from basketball will be coming around going, could you come and play for us? You know, so swimming might lose him to some other sport. You never know. But he is, he's, again, you know, his coach says, yeah, he's fantastic. He's a great natural talent, but he's still a work in progress, and he's not the real deal yet, even though he looks to have been it this weekend. Right, we're going to the 400 IM presentations for the women. Amber Keegan, the winner for the seniors, and Lara Thompson. In fact, all the medals coming from the senior final, both the junior and the seniors, all in the same final here. So Amber Keegan, Lily Booker and Amelia Monaghan for the seniors, and for the juniors, Lara Thompson, Evie Dilly and Leah Schlossen with the junior gold, silver and bronze.
Just remind me, what was the bronze winning time there? Because I thought Phoebe Cooper might sneak in and get a bronze one there, or a medal.
Time there was 4:42.50 for the bronze of the seniors, and the Leah Schlossen 4:49.20 for the juniors. So, yeah, what was the time? Let's see if we can find it again. Phoebe Cooper 4:46.20. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, somebody made a boo-boo there.
Because Phoebe Cooper, I thought she was. I know she was.
She was 4:46, so she was. So in effect, she should be second, should she not? Is that what we're saying?
Well, that's the first thing.
I
that's
think
the first thing I spotted.
Do you know? I think that's right. I think you are right. Okay.
I'm going to write that down. Bob said I was right.
No. I've never said you're wrong, but no, yeah, I've just checked across the Phoebe Cooper 4:46.26, was it? 4:46.26.
Anyway, while we try and work this one out behind the scenes, we do believe, just in our minds, Bob and I, that Phoebe Cooper maybe should have got a bronze or a better medal than that. But as you can see, walking out now, the finalists in the Women's Open 50-metre butterfly. So we've got 4 50-metre races to come. So after the endurance of the 400 metres, it is 4 times splash and dash.
Indeed it is. So the splash and the dash of the 50 metres butterfly, and fastest in the field, Jessica Calderbank, our City of Manchester Aquatics. We could have back-to-back Manchester victories here potentially, but of course this is a much tighter race to call. 5 and 6 looking good. Emily Crane and Georgina Pryor at the early stages of this. Lane 6, Georgina Pryor, Davencio going to the wall. Is she going to get there first? I believe she is, in 26.19, so almost a second quicker than she went in the heat. Second, Isabel Goodwin. Third, Jessica Calderbank. Those are the 1, 2, 3 in the open 50 metres butterfly.
Not very often tonight you're going to see gold and silver come from outside the 2 centre lanes, but Georgina Pryor a second quicker than her time in the heats. That's massive, over 50 metres. And Emily Crane not involved in the middles. 27.03, second quickest in the heats, but not getting any silverware on this occasion. Great swim from Georgina Pryor. And coming up next, as always, straight on to the 16 and unders, the junior butterfly final. From the heats this morning, Holly Widow's 15-year-old from Mount Kelly, 27.71. She only missed out on getting into the open final by a tenth of a second. She will be the girl to beat, and there'll be the fans to beat of Mount Kelly in the stands here as well.
Yeah, there they are in numbers. In fact, there's more of them tonight, I think, than there were last night. Just looking over the far side. They're not bare-chested tonight. They obviously decided, because they're having to go home, that they've got to put some clothes on tonight. They are there in massive numbers. They're getting a big cheer. Holly Widows from them. Alma Dahl of Plymouth Leander. Emma Crocker of South Lincolnshire. Then we have the 14-year-old. They have two, actually. One from Mount Kelly and one from Hamilton Aquatics. Jade Kershaw. Leah Evans for City of Bristol. And then Anna Farrow of Ellesmere. So coming up, it will be the under 16s 50 metres butterfly. Holly Widows came very close to making the senior final. She's in lane 4 in the junior final with a 27.71 for this morning, and look at her go in lane number 4. She's going to be first to 25. Can anybody overhaul her? Alma Dahl next to her, but looking like at 25, might well be at 50. There's not long for anybody else to catch her, and it will be lane number 4. Nobody's going to get to Holly Widows. 26.95. That is 0.8 of a second quicker than she went in the heats earlier today. Alma Dahl in second place, third Jade Kershaw of Hamilton Aquatics, and fourth Sky Carter. So 26.95, only swimmer under 27.
So just before that race, I was going to say my outside bet for this one is Sky Carter, 14-year-old in lane number 3. She dominates the scene over in Basildon and that area. And I do believe she will get a bronze medal, because Jade Kershaw, Hamilton Aquatics Dubai, another 14-year-old, will get a commemorative bronze. So I think you will see Sky Carter on the podium later, but no doubting about your winner. Like you said, Bob, only girl under 27 seconds from the heats and in the final. It is Holly Willows of Mount Kelly. And very happy block of fans over on the far side. And now it's time for the gents.
If you want to go now, please do, because we'll forget. Oh, that's what you mean. Right, it's the 50 metres butterfly. And Joel Watson, Isle of Man, goes in 0. 1 is, I don't know what his name is. I know his surname is Cameron Calvo. Calvin Fry, Mount Kelly in 2. 3 is Jamie Ingram, again from City of Manchester Aquatics. But the main two protagonists will be coming out there. Here's Jacob Peters. Now, if you weren't listening earlier on, I had a little conversation with Matt Richards earlier and said Jacob Peters will go quicker than he did in the heats. Now, 22.57 is his personal best, and he says, I don't think he will. And I had a little sportsman's bet with it, no money changed hands, that Jacob Peters will go quicker. Matthew Richards, I said, you don't stand a chance against Jacob Peters. I won't say that over the PA system, but he and I had this conversation earlier. I think Matt Richards will definitely nail second, but there's a question to me of how quick Jacob Peters can go. So stand by for blasting. Jacob Peters set an absolutely blistering pace in setting a personal best this morning, 22.57 in lane number 4. Matt Richards up against him, both from Bath, both great friends, of course. Jacob Peters going for it big style. This morning, 22.57. I had a little bet that he can go faster than 22.57. Am I going to have egg on my face or am I not? Yes, I think I am. 22.65. Matt Richards knows more than I do, obviously. 22.65 for Jacob. Second, Matt Richards. Third place going to Jamie Ingram, but still a conclusive victory for Jacob by about half a second.
So you put your reputation on the line there, Bob. Nearly only 1/10 of a second. Very, very close indeed. Just a note, Matthew Richards there going 0.37 quicker than his heat time earlier on this morning, but no denying the gold and silver for Bath National Centre. Jamie Ingram, best of the rest, City of Manchester Aquatics. The oldest of the bunch in the centre there, but Jacob Peters, just incredible. He's a little bit like Ruben Robotham Keating, just sort of dominating in his races across the weekend. And of course we know he's an absolutely fantastic swimmer, and just showing us again, last championship of the year, ending it in absolute style at the moment.
Right now the 50 butterfly for the under, I'm a bit sore about it because it was quite close actually. It was only 8 100ths between, so I was nearly right, but yeah, Matt said I don't think he'll go faster tonight, and he didn't. But I think he will in due course. And obviously he's back in track. He had disappointing Olympics by his standards, did Jacob Peters, but I think short course he's certainly back on track. So the men's or juniors under 50 butterfly now. Mattis Midliar of City of Milton Keynes, Solomon Williams of Millfield, Sean Simmons of Bristol, Charlie Summer of Dereham, then Nick Finch of Chelsea and Westminster. 5 is James Cleaver of Beckenham, Beverley Barracudas with Kieran Grant, Finley Orman of City of Sheffield, and that big roar you might have heard in the background just for Aaron Urkels. And we have Ethan Thompson in lane number 9.
So you watch the heats, Bob. Who's your money on for the 16 and under final?
Give me a Charlie Summer on this. Actually, no, I'll go Nick Finch. I think I'll go Nick Finch, actually. Change my mind. Yeah, Nick Finch. Now the splash and dash coming up at the 50 metres butterfly for the under 16s, and Nick Finch of Chelsea and Westminster was the only one to go sub 25 in the heats earlier on today. It's a very competitive race between Finch and Summer and Cleaver, all going to be in the mix, or are they? Or are they going to have to give second best they are to Nick Finch of Chelsea and Westminster? 24.09, knocks 0.4 of a second off his time from earlier. Second place to James Cleaver, and third going to lane 2, Solomon Williams. Solomon Williams actually in lane 1, getting third place. Finch, Cleaver and Williams, your 1, 2, 3.
Just mentioning, Bob, you mentioned earlier the sort of inverted brackets smaller clubs. Not many representatives from Chelsea and West. That's another nice win for them. Gold medal to take back to Chelsea and West. And 0.4 of a second, again, we've mentioned it a few times, in 50 metres. That's a huge margin, isn't it? I'm guessing that's got to be a PB for Nick Finch.
I think so. You can ask me when to go back through my sheets now, try and find out here. From the 200 AM from earlier on today, so the 50 from earlier on today. Yeah, we'll find it. We will find it.
Whilst you're finding it as well, nice to see another name, Solomon Williams. Not seen his, obviously I've been concentrating on the women's sport, but not seen his name come up too many times. So to take a bronze from lane number 1 especially, great 50 metres for him.
25.08. 25.08.
Oh, massive PB then.
Was his previous PB, yeah. So second PB, and back to one total second PB between his entry time and where he is today. 400 IM medal ceremony. There's the big boy. Where's the lady with the camera still trying to get his head in shot? As far as the seniors are concerned, Jacob Greenow, Charlie Hutchison and Ben Harrison, and Ruben Rowbottom Keating again getting in 4:20.82, and that would actually have got him 6th place in the senior final had he been doing it. Fina Bunaji, 2nd place for Davencio, and there we go. Jacob having to hope that Ruben bends down.
I mean, and if he isn't tall enough, he gets an extra 3 inches for that bouffant on his head.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, very effective. I will wish we had hair like that.
Managed just to squeeze it all under a swimming cap, though.
Yeah, you don't know when he's swimming, you don't see it. It's a miracle, actually, of modern science. You can actually get all that hair into a cap, but he does. And yeah, he's got a nice collection of gold medals from this weekend too, isn't he? Take back to Manchester. And so if he keeps growing till he's 18, heaven knows what size he will be. Do you know what? He's kind of. It'd be interesting to see whether he's good enough to get to Commonwealth Games. I'm not sure he is quite yet, but you know, give him a few more months. He might be knocking on the door at trials in April to actually give himself a chance of potentially getting there. You never know.
I was just about to say, you'll know better than most of it. It's Birmingham next year. When do the selection process take place, or the qualifiers? How long has he got?
Well, he'll have the trials in April, and they'll decide from there who goes to both Worlds and Commonwealths. But obviously it'll be a different selection process for Commonwealth. It'll be England and not Great Britain. So there will be 3 spots for all the events for England. And he is English. We have a swimmer we'll see later on who represents Liverpool, who's also got a double barrel name, is actually Welsh. So he can't represent England. He'll be doing it for Wales. Right, the 50 butterfly for women. Here's the medal order, and Leah Whittaker, who finished in 6th in the senior final, has got the junior gold. Holly Widows and Alma Dahl, 2nd and 3rd. And as far as the seniors are concerned, Georgina Pryor, Isabel Goodwin and Jessica Calderbank are the 1, 2, 3 from that. Now, in theory, the 200 freestyle for women, which is next up, could be one of the events of the night, actually. As you look at that lineup, you got Tam Van Selm, looking great. Amy Canny, South African Olympian, in lane 4. Emily Large, although it's maybe not her best event at the moment, but she's gone sub 2 minutes. This is I say a wide open event. I'm not sure it's as wide open as some, but Amy Canny is the fastest qualifier, now swimming with Plymouth Leander. But we've got all but 2 swimmers under 2 minutes here. Jemima Hall of Bath University, first on the pool deck. Evelyn Davis, watch out for her. She's already done very well in the 100 for Bromley. Here's Emily Large of Bath, your friend of Matt, who you saw just a few moments ago. Jess Podger of Loughborough University, Amy Canny of Plymouth Leander, Tam Van Selm of Millfield, Mia Slevin of Davencio, Kate Clifton of City of Sheffield will go in 7. She should have a bit of noise behind her. 8 is Leah Crisp, Bath, and Megan Barnes of Mount Kelly. Here we go, stand by. There you go, right on cue. 200 freestyle coming up for women. Could be a cracker, this. Final of the women's open 200 meters freestyle. And a chance once again to see a South African Olympian in Amy Canny and some potential future Olympians. Emily Large, of course, very much front and centre of Great Britain's programme, heading towards Paris in 2024. She goes in lane number 2, Amy Canny in 4, and Tam Van Selm, another very talented 17-year-old from Millfield in there. But it is Amy Canny, the 18-year-old from South Africa, leading early on. Jess Podger of Loughborough University in 2nd place, Tam Van Selm in 3rd place. Long way still to go in this, and there could be a few more twists and turns before we get to the end. Amy Canny, 1:57.25, fastest qualifier in lane 4, but wasn't really much between a few of them this morning. Jess Podger, 20 years of age now, from Loughborough University. We had all but 2 go sub 2 minutes this morning. Tam Van Selm, maybe just keeping a bit of watching brief in 5, waiting to make her move, and there are others who are just circling around. South African in lane 4, who has a decent lead, not a winning lead yet, although she's starting to go to those legs now to start pulling away. And she's opened up quite an advantage at this stage with 50 to go. Amy Canny leading by 1.76. Jess Podger's trying to go with her. Tam Van Selm too, but they've got an awful lot of work to do to overwhelm and overcome the Plymouth Leander swimmer in lane number 4, and they're not going to manage that. 2nd place still up for grabs, but that's looking increasingly like it being Mia Slevin potentially up there, or sorry, Tam Van Selm from Millfield to get 2nd place. 3rd place will go to Jess Podger, and it's a 1:54.48 for Amy Canny. 2nd place to Tam Van Selm, and 3rd to Jess Podger. That time again, 1:54.48, so a win by a good, clear 2.2 seconds.
A win by 2.2 and 3 seconds quicker than her time in the heats for Amy Canny. Seems to be just playing with everybody in the heats and just showing what she can do in that final night. While you were watching the racing there, forgive me, I was watching the crowd on the far side. We've got 3 big groups of followers here. We've got Plymouth Leander, Millfield, and of course Matt Kelly. And it's almost like they're having a cheer-off between themselves. It's a nice little bit of competition just to keep your eye on. Whenever one goes up, they had a representative each in that final. Now, Millfield got the silver, Plymouth Leander got the gold. Unfortunately, Matt Kelly not meddling with Megan Barnes, but that does not prevent Matt Kelly giving some of the biggest cheers. But really lovely to see such a strong team ethic, not just in the pool, but in the teams on the side who are between swims, staying around supporting their colleagues and teammates.
Yeah, and bear in mind, obviously, a lot of the swimmers and coaches have gone because they don't have swimmers involved in the evening session, so anybody who's done by lunchtime today has gone. So there's not as many people or families or parents or supporters in on Sunday night as there were on Friday and Saturday. But they make up for it with a lot of noise, got to say that. On to the junior final, Isla McIntosh of Dubai, Holly Widows of Mount Kelly. She's back again. A lot of people doing multiple swims tonight. Laura Thompson of City of Leeds, Amy Monks, Royal Wolverhampton. There is Erin Little following in Emma Croker, again from Mount Kelly. Wickham District has Lucy Fox, Anna Farrow of Ellesmere, Georgia Robertson from City of Sheffield. There she is in lane number 8. And lane 9, Annabelle Pilgrim. I know Georgia's had quite a tough year. She's had COVID and she's had all kinds of things. She's not been well, so she's done very well to even make this final. So just to manage to get herself into lane 8 is quite an achievement. Top 2 in the heats this morning were separated by just 0.05 of a second. Emma Croker with a 2:01.59, Erin Little with a 2:02.04. So there's every expectancy this could be a very tight finish, not only between those two, but there are other people like Amy Monks and Lucy Fox who could well be in the mix right at the end. At the moment, it's not really settling down or breaking up in terms of who's at the front. Just at the front, lane 4, Emma Croker of South Lincolnshire, 0.38 ahead of Erin Little. with Amy Monks in third place. But at the moment, they're still kind of feeling each other out, just making the pattern of the race start to develop. And Emma Croker wants to make sure that it goes South Lincolnshire's way and no other way at this stage. This will be the halfway stage of the 100 freestyle, and she's got an advantage of 0.88 over Erin Little. Third place is Amy Monks of Royal Wolverhampton. Then it's Lucy Fox of Wickham District. The light blue cap, still very prominent, but it's still mighty tight. Certainly can't quite give it to her yet. And don't discount on the other side, Amy Monks, looking like she's going through quite strong in left. 4 and 5, as we expected, battling it out with 50 to go. And they turn almost identically. 18 100ths between Emma Croker and Erin Little. The battle is on over the last 50 to see who can get to the wall first. Also, Amy Monks is not giving up on potentially getting in the top 3 here. Well, she'll get in the top 3 the way they're looking, and our winner is going to come from lane 5. Erin Little and Mount Kelly, they're going to erupt on the far side in the stand up in the roof, because she's just got there in 1:59. She's broken the 2-minute barrier. 1:59.17. Erin Little goes under 2 minutes for another victory, for another great performance, and a great weekend it has been for Mount Kelly. Second place, Amy Monks, and Emma Croker in third place.
Yeah, Mount Kelly nearly taking the roof off as she crossed the line there. Erin Little, great, fantastic swim and a great weekend for her. We're in another one of those standout performances. Amy Monks, 16-year-old from Royal Wolverhampton. It's another club that is underrepresented but doing really well. Their name does pop up every so often, and loved to see a silver medal going back to Wolverhampton. And Emma Croker, fastest from the heats, and just makes it onto the podium. I say just makes it onto the podium. It was a clear 3, but leading for the first 100 metres or so, but couldn't quite match Erin Little when it mattered into the final 50.
Right, here's an event that is absolutely stacked, because Kieran Bird, we kind of associate more with the 400. He's got the fastest time in the 200 here. Jacob Whittle we kind of more think of as a 100 going up to 200, so that's where they meet. 400 coming down to 2, 100 going up to 2 for Jacob Whittle. Charlie Brown I kind of associate more with the backstroke. He's doing the freestyle. Everybody's kind of mixing things up a little bit in this one.
Is there more of a natural progression to go from 1 to 2 or from 4 down to 2? Does it make any difference?
Depends on the swimmer, quite frankly. I mean, a lot of 100 swimmers are sprinter swimmers, 50, 100, 200, sometimes a little bit of a stretch. 400 with Kieran, he does the 800, so he kind of goes in the other direction as well. So it'll be interesting how this goes. I mean, Kieran did look the strongest this morning, but I'm not sure how much Jacob Whittle's putting into that. I think he can go quicker and will go quicker than 146. So it should be between 3 and 4. Charlie Brown, I think of him more as a backstroker. He's a decent freestyler, but it's not what I would naturally assume that he'd be the most proficient at. Let's see what happens. In terms of depth, the most prolific event we have in British swimming right now is the 200 freestyle. To get onto that 4x2 team, you have to be pretty damn good. And a lot of people are missing out, because go down to 7 or 8 who would make other international teams. So the 200 freestyle is probably the most competitive event in British swimming. Now, who's going to get the better of this one? Harry Constantine has had a really good start for Loughborough in lane 0. Also up in lane number 5, Charlie Brown going well. Jacob Whittle in lane 3 will start to work his way through. Thinking of Jacob more as a 100 swimmer going up to 200. Maybe thinking of Kieran as a 400 swimmer normally going up to 800, so they're going to meet somewhere in the middle. But Harry Constantine, the 21-year-old, deciding the outside lane suits him. He's really going to have a really good crack at this. Charlie Brown, 20-year-old from Loughborough, used to swim in this pool, is our leader at the halfway stage. At the moment, the big names not quite showing as we thought they might. Tom Watkin of City of Sheffield, but we have another 75 metres for all that to change. But Constantine will be looking across, wondering what's happening in lane 5. I can tell him Charlie Brown is still leading, but onto his shoulder comes Kieran Bird, and past him comes Kieran Bird at this stage. Another 50 to go. Kieran Bird takes over at the front of the race. Charlie Brown in second place, Tom Watkin in third place, and well, I think Kieran Bird has just answered my question whether it's a 4 going up to 8 person or a 4 coming down to 2. He's pretty much answering that question with a great deal of assurance here. Kieran Bird representing Wickham District here, though of course is the Bath National Centre these days, but representing his old club, gets in 1:45.09. So 3/4 of a second, very nearly quicker than he went this morning. Alex Bragazi coming through for second place in lane number 3, lane number 2 even, and Jacob Whittle with a very pacey finish for third place. So that's your 1, 2, 3.
I mean, Alex Bragazi, what a final 50 metre swim. I don't think we mentioned his name in the opening 150 metres, but came through right at the end. So, I mean, did he underperform in the heats or did he overperform in that final there?
Well, and also, why did he leave it quite as late as he did? Because he really did come with a late burst, and actually, so too, let's be honest, did Jacob Whittle, to be honest, to get into that position. But Kieran Bird timed it to perfection, probably what he didn't do on his 1500, because he was always trying to get that 800 record, but you know, obviously Kieran's thinking he might be able to do 2, because at the moment he's not in contention for the 4x2 team. Maybe he's thinking, I want to be part of that relay, and well, why wouldn't you?
Now on to the 16 and unders. Any names stick out for you from the heats, Bob? Tyler Melbourne-Smith and Liam Dawson seemed a little bit quicker, half a second than the rest of the field. Is that a true reflection?
Well, Tyler Melbourne-Smith is the swimmer from Liverpool I was talking about, who actually is Welsh. So if he was able to get a chance to go to the Commonwealth Games, he would represent Wales in this event, or whichever event he was qualifying for. Liam Dawson's had a very solid weekend as well. Josh Denholm's another one. Harry Wynne-Jones has swum very well. Look down the list of names here, and I see people who've done multiple finals or multiple events. So you wonder on day 3 whether it's starting to potentially take its toll. Jacob Whibley's a big boy, isn't he? I just noticed that. Jacob Whibley of Plymouth Leander. You probably just missed him coming through the screen there, but he's actually incredibly tall. We're talking about tall swimmers, which is very useful for freestyle. Much more useful actually for sprint freestylers than it is for 200 and 400 freestylers, but still a bit of a bonus if you're putting your hand on the wall. You've got extra few inches to get that hand on the wall before somebody might be about 6'1", you're 6'5".
Now, I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say Solomon Williams down in lane 0, already got a bronze medal in the 50-metre butterfly. He was an outsider for that one, he's an outsider for this. Watch lane 0.
Another 16-year-old we've been talking about a lot over the weekend is Tyler Melbourne-Smith, going again as the fastest qualifier in the junior version of the 200 metres freestyle. Only swimming to go under 151 this morning, 150.87. But there will be other people in and around him, I'm sure, because it was quite tight. Liam Dawson being amongst them from Royal Wolverhampton in lane number 5. And a good start from Caden Wellesby of Stockport Metro. He's our early leader at 50. Hutchison second. Melbourne-Smith's quite a way back at this stage. Well, I say that, there's really nothing much to choose between the top 5, separated by about a third of a second. Watching for Jake Hutchinson up there in lane number 7, who's going pretty well as well. And at the moment, it is lane 3. Caden Wellesby from Stockport Metro, who has the advantage of 0.47 over Jacob Whibley. Tyler Melbourne-Smith, if he is going to make his move, it's going to be about now. So he comes through to a certain extent in lane number 4. Hasn't quite got him alongside Caden Wellsby yet, but there is still time. Another 50 when they get to the far end this time. The front runner all the way through so far has been Caden Wellsby. 0.45 to Melbourne Smith, and then Whibley in third. Now, has the Liverpool man got some reaction? 2 up from him. Jacob Whibley still thinks he can win this and has a chance as well. 3 of them coming off the wall, not quite together, but very closely grouped. Caden Wellsby done all the hard work. Tyler Melbourne Smith thinks I can take over from here. So too does Jacob Whibley. It's going to be Tyler Melbourne Smith for the win. 1:48.71. Another great performance by the man from Liverpool. Second, Jacob Whibley getting past Caden Wellsby, did all the hard work early on. He'll take the 3rd place, but Tyler Melbourne Smith with another goal to add to his tally for the weekend.
Another brilliant final. Caden Wellsby just went out a little bit too quick, just not mistimed at the end, just went out of steam in the last 50 metres. Went from 1st to 3rd to a bronze medal for the 16-year-old from Stockport right at the end there. But great swim. You said his name before the race and at the start of this session, Bob. Tyler Melbourne Smith, City of Liverpool. Another gold medal for him. Another one for the future, maybe.
Right, I think we've probably got another presentation pretty soon. So we look across, we've got some sheets, so we may well have the women's 200 free to come. 304, now we'll have the 50 butterfly before that. Men's 50 fly, women's 50 fly, but they're accumulating in front of me. Women's 50 fly, men's 50 fly, and then we'll have the women's 200 free. So we've got all those sheets to go through. It's going to be the men's, sorry, where are we? Women's, yes, women's 50 fly first.
No, it's the men's.
Oh, was it?
Well, that's who's walking out. Yeah, I agree with you. It should be the women's, but it's not. That's not the case.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Probably because I think we've had the women's, and we'll do it twice. Men's 50 meters butterfly. No real surprises with the seniors. I've got to say, the top 2 certainly was the most predictable of the night for me. Jacob Peters not quite improving on his time from the heats. Matthew Richards in second did improve on his, nearly breaking 23. Jamie Ingram of City of Manchester Aquatics, who you'll see there with Solomon Williams getting the bronze medal. Here's the silver duo, Matt Richards and James Cleaver of Beckenham. And here's Nick Finch of Chelsea and Westminster with a Great Britain junior record. Great Britain junior record, 24:09. There you go. Junior record in the 50 butterfly for Nick Finch. Well, with Jacob Peters. So what would 24:09 have got? 24:09 would have got him 7th place in the senior final. Yeah, wow, that's one to watch. 15 years of age in Chelsea and Westminster. Haven't yet produced an Olympian, but it could be, again, oh, I don't know, 2.5 years, be 17. Obviously, there is no 50 butterfly in the Olympics. That's the problem. It'd have to be a 50 freestyle and not a 50 butterfly swimmer.
Has there never been a 50 butterfly in the Olympics? Why is that?
No.
Any reason?
No, well, I think it's just the amount of events. To do that, to increase it with the other sprints, the 50 breast and the 50 fly and the 50 back, you'd have to have probably another 2 days of a program, and the swimming would extend to 10 days, which the IOC not prepared to do. It's 8 days as it is. It nearly became 9 days in Tokyo because of the morning finals. So, although a lot of people want it, and obviously people like Adam and Peter would love to do the 50 breaststroke in the Olympics, it's not an option at the moment. Probably was not an option for Paris. I don't think it's going to happen for Los Angeles. But
now I'm going to lean on your encyclopedic knowledge here. Have events ever come and gone in the Olympics, or has it always been a set block of traditional?
Well, it's certainly been extended over this. I mean, this time around, for example, we had the 800 freestyle for women and the 800 freestyle for men, and the 1500 for women was introduced just for Tokyo. So they weren't in before Tokyo. So there were 2 new events this time around. But a lot of people say, well, we'd rather have the sprints than the 815. But the decision by Fina and the IOC was to bring in the 8s for the men and the 1500 for the women. So, yeah, not the addition that many wanted, but that's what we got. So the 200 freestyle presentations, And again, as you mentioned, Amy Canny being from South Africa, even though she swims for an English club. Well, they've actually, they've given it to her here, so I'm not quite sure what the rules and regs are on this, but they've got Amy Canny, Tamrin Van Selm and Jess Podger with the gold, silver and bronze. Junior, Erin Little, Amy Monks and Emma Croker. So I don't quite know what the parameters are for that, because she is a South African swimming for Plymouth Leander. There you go. But she does swim for a British club, and she has got the gold medal. And she was quite a long way, over 2 seconds quicker than anybody else in that field. So next up, it's going to be the 100 backstroke, and I have been told off. I have been told off severely by the coach of Ealing. Not by him, actually, he's not too worried, but his swimmer is going, why do they keep on about my age? Why do they keep talking about being 30? So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make another reference tonight, just to keep her happy. Don't like to annoy the swimmers. But I think she's just a bit, she's going, oh, it's on about my age. Well, fine, I won't say it tonight. I won't. Although I just have. Sophie Shaw of Mid-Sussex. Now, who did you say? Was it Charlotte?
Charlotte Prince Rainer.
Charlotte Prince Rainer, yeah. In one, because we don't have it in our sheet, we just have a C. It sounds a bit formal, doesn't it? Georgina Pryor of Devonshire, Emily Crane of Colville, Isabella Hindley, who really has to be the favourite for this, I think, in lane 4. Ekaterina Avramova, who we were talking about, who's not at home. 6, Chloe Golding of City of Manchester Aquatics, Lauren Cox of Loughborough University, Honey Osrin of Loughborough, and Leah Whitaker of Mount Kelly. That is your 100 backstroke lineup, and the race is coming soon. Two-time Olympian Katie Avramova going for Ealing in lane number 5, trying to catch Isabella Hindley, who has the fastest time from the heats of 58.71. Katie with Bulgaria and Turkey in her 2 Olympic outings. And still representing Ealing very, very well in lane number 5. This is going to be a pretty tight race, I think, with 3 all grouped around 58.59 from the heats. Emily Crane has just got the advantage by 5/100ths at the 50 stage, but 4 all in a line. It's a really brilliant turn, though, isn't it? A fantastic turn, putting right at the very front of the field. And is there any way back for any of the others? Doesn't look like it. It's all about the turns. It's all about the turns, and that's how this race has been won. Absolutely no doubt about it that Chloe Golding is going to come in and take this all from the underwater work. 57.59. That was exemplary from the City of Manchester Aquatic swimmer in lane number 6. 57.59. Second is Katie Avramova of Ealing, and third Isabella Hindley. But Chloe Golding did all that from the underwater work to clock 57.59.
Wow, what a great 100 metres, all changed after 50, but just talk about that underwater work there, Bob. Is that a skill or a tactic or a little bit of both? Because why isn't everybody doing that? If it's such an advantage, why isn't everybody spending half the race underwater?
Well, a lot of them do, certainly short course. For these kind of events, when you're allowed your 15 metres, I mean, if you think about it, you only have to swim for 10. Come off the wall, you do another 15, it's 10 metres, and obviously you're faster doing it that way than you are actually on the surface. So if you can do it like she just did it, she came from, back in the pack to the front of the back, and she won that quite comfortably. It wasn't even tight at the end.
Well, she wasn't just a little bit more underwater, it was significantly, visibly much longer underwater.
She went as far as she could legally underwater. You're allowed the 15 metres, and say you're allowed 15 metres in a 50-metre pool, you're allowed 15 metres in a 25-metre pool. Maybe that needs to be adjusted, because literally with short course swimming, certainly backstroke, you can do that to your heart's content. Right, the junior version, Rue Fowler of Team Bath, Madison Peveler of Derwentide, Amara Addison of Norwich, the other Norwich club. There are two, Kaylin Ebbidge of Tunbridge, Isabel Ille of Hackney, Iona Colbert of Nova Centurion, Sophie Bromley of Sheffield, Evie Dilley, here she is again. A lot of finals for Evie. Barrow Stockton in 7, Hannah Willis of Peterborough, and Georgia Holgate of Cambridge. Well, again, look at the times. There's a lot of 102s in here, and you're never quite sure from exactly how many people are putting maximum effort in. We'll find out whether that's going to relate itself to this very shortly. It's the junior 100 backstroke, and this is a very tight, well, potentially a very tight race, because we've got a whole clutch of 102s from the heats this morning, trying to make an early inroad. Kaylin Ebbidge of Tunbridge with the yellow cap in lane number 3, looking at the top of the picture as well, see what might be happening. 2 up from Kaylin is Iona Colbert of Nova Centurion. Those two seem to be in the front, although there's pretty much 6 or 7 going to the wall together. Ebbidge is our leader, but only by 0.28. Then we've got joint second place, top 6, all separated by 0.35 of a second. Did say it might be competitive, did say it might be tight. It's turning out to be all of those things. The 16-year-old from Tunbridge is still just about in front, but they're all starting to come back to her now. Far side, Evie Dilley has got a real spurt on in lane number 7. Could she come through to win it? She's got a really good chance, Evie Dilley, of taking this on the touch, and she has. 101.37. That was an absolute blanket finish. Evie Dilley from Sophie Bromley. There was only 0.3 of a second between those two. Kaylin Ebbidge, our early leader, in 3rd place. The 1, 2, 3 separated by less than 1/4 of a second.
And Evie Dilley's time there, she was the name you mentioned to watch out for, in fact, before that one, Bob. Absolutely performed as well. And that might be the first final of the night where there's not a single medal from their centre 2 lanes. Isabel Eiley and Onia Colbert, the fastest from the heats, missing out, but Evie Dilley 0.4 seconds quicker than her heat time, enough to take the gold. And now we're on to the men's 100-metre backstroke races. Joe Litchfield, one of your favourites in this one, Bob?
Yeah, now, something was happening while I was talking about that, and people were pointing at you and saying James McFadden or something. But has something happened?
No, they just wanted to know how to pronounce his name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not a problem. Compared to some of the names we have, that's one of the more straightforward ones, I've got to be honest. But yeah, but Joe is not the fastest qualifier. Cam Brooker is having an absolute storming weekend. Now down at Bath, the National Centre, but a bit like Kieran Bird is representing his kind of parent club, the club he was with before he went down to Bath. And I know that some of the swimmers say, well, Bath is a centre, but it's not a club. So if I get a chance to represent my club, I'll represent my club, and that's what's happening here. Robbie Hemmings of Poole. Poole is the club that produced Jacob Peters before he went to Bath. Alexander Armstrong of Surrey, Jane McFadden of Loughborough, William Kearsey of Hatfield, then Cam Brooker of Wickham District, Joe Litchfield of Loughborough, Jonathan Adam of Bath. Jonathan Adam looked good this morning as well, I've got to say. He was exceptional. Elliot Clogg, another of the ISL swimmers, goes in lane number 7. Charlie Brown, we've already seen him earlier on in the 200 freestyle, now going in the 100 backstroke, which I think is more his event, to be honest. And then Toby Hill in lane number 9. There's quite a few former Sheffield, in fact there's 3 former Sheffield swimmers in this race. Joe Litchfield, Elliot Clogg and Charlie Brown, all former City of Sheffield swimmers now at Loughborough. It has been quite a weekend for Cam Brooker of Wickham District. Of course, these days down at Bath at the National Centre, but representing his former club here in lane number 4, Joe Litchfield, Elliot Clogg and Charlie Brown, all former City of Sheffield swimmers representing the Loughborough National Centre here. And the green cap, very prominent straight away in lane 4, Cam Brooker. Joe Litchfield is bound to be in the mix as well. Is it 4 or is it 5? It's Litchfield from Adam and Brooker. 0.18 separates them at the 50. Waiting for a couple of other swimmers behind, maybe Elliot Clogg to make a move. Well, Joe Litchfield is still at the front. Jonathan Adams swam very well this morning too. Cam Brooker in there as well. All about the underwater work, which is perfectly illustrated by Joe Litchfield, who's going to go on to win this. 51.49 for Joe. Second is Cam Brooker. Third place to Jonathan Adam. 2 under 52. Brooker 51.68.
Well, back to the norm there for the centre lanes, taking the medals, unlike the women's under 16 final. All the chaps there just still having a quick look up at the scoreboard. There's nothing to date for Joe Litchfield. Fantastic time for the 23-year-old from Loughborough National Centre. And the National Centres take 2 of the medals, with Jonathan Adam the bronze, and separated by Cam Brooker. And they are, I mean, all 3 of those guys having fantastic weekends, aren't they, Bob? I think that will be their last final. Next to the gents, it's only the 200-metre breaststroke to come. I don't think any of those 3 are in that event. So great weekend's work for those 3 boys.
So it was, and we're going to get the junior version of the 100 backstroke now. We're going to see whether maybe Matthew Ward can get another victory for Mount Kelly here. They've had a quiet time last few races. It's high time they step back up to the plate. Matthew Cairns is also a big issue maybe for Matthew Ward and Lewis Warner too, all 3 of them in those centre lanes, but it is Matthew Ward who went quickest. There he is, getting his introduction onto pool deck. And there's Matthew Cairns, Vicious Parameswar of Dubai, comes in lane 6. 7 is Connor Cherrington, another multiple event swimmer this weekend from Millfield in 7. Marion de Villar of St Felix School in 8, and Thomas Spencer of Portsmouth North Sea in lane number 9. So this is the 100 backstroke, the junior version. See how this shapes up. It looks like potentially a Mount Kelly victory, but we'll find out in the next minute or so. Seven 16-year-olds, 3 15-year-olds in the under-16s 100 backstroke for men. Could be about the Matthews here. Ward and Cairns in 4 and 5. They are the 2 fastest qualifiers, representing Mount Kelly and Millfield. Been a while since there's been a Mount Kelly win. Maybe it's going to be Millfield this time, though. Matthew Cairns looking immensely strong over the first 50, but being tracked all the way by Matthew Ward. Those 2 are ahead by about half a second from the rest of the field, but Matthew Cairns, 16-year-old from Millfield, is heading the charge at 75 meters. Now, what does Matthew Ward have? He has the crowd behind him. He certainly has a section of the crowd behind him, but Matthew Cairns is just about holding on. He's going to get there by about half a body length. 53.98 for our winner. Only swimmer under 54. Second place goes to Matthew Ward of Mount Kelly, and third to Lewis Warner of Bassett Law. Winning time for Matthew Cairns, 53.98.
And the Millfield fans on the far side rise to their feet. It wasn't just a win, it was 1 second quicker than his entry time of 54.87 from the heats to a 53.98. Good enough for the gold for Matthew Kenson. It's 3 16-year-olds taking the gold, silver and bronze in the 16 and under. Now on to the next race, Bob. Just a quick chat about the heats here from the women's 200-metre breaststroke, because it's almost impossible to decide what is going to happen here. A couple of stories from the 200 breaststroke heat. So Megan Morrison went up against Hazel Odkin. Now Molly Renshaw and Sienna Robinson, first of all, on the heat times were separated by 10 seconds, but Molly Renshaw won by a second over Sienna Robinson. Megan Morrison, Hazel Odkin, both going 5 seconds over their entry times. So a real plethora of different stories going on for the 200-metre breaststroke. And what I'm trying to say is anything could happen here, because I don't know who's not on form. The one girl that is, of course, is Hazel Odkin. Can she do it again from lane number 2?
Well, we'll find out in a few moments, but we're going to have the medal ceremony for you. Always give it the big build-up, and I have to kind of cut you short because it's the medal ceremony for the 200 freestyle. And there is Jacob Whittle giving the bronze to the junior Caden Wellesby, who's returning it in kind. So Stockport and Davencio. Now the fast finishing Alex Brigazzi of Loughborough will give it to Plymouth's Jacob Wibley, and vice versa. And Kieran Bird of Wickham, or representing Wickham here, will give Tyler Melbourne Smith yet another gold medal. The man who could represent Wales, not England, at the Commonwealth Games should he be selected next year. Time for Tyler would have got him into 9th in the senior final. 1:48.71, but the winning time for Kieran Bird was 1:45.09. We're going to get one more. I think we're going to get the 100 backstroke presentation as well, because all the officials have moved away. Yeah, we are. So here they come. And again, we have a junior who was involved in the senior final, Leah Whittaker, who gets the junior gold. Silver goes to Evie Dilley and Sophie Bromley in 3rd place, but the seniors, Chloe Golding, and yet another medal when they come to give it to her for Katie Avramova of Ealing. I haven't yet mentioned her age. I should not do it one more time. So Evie Dilley gets the gold for, or rather the silver for the juniors. And Chloe Golding for City of Manchester Aquatics and gets the gold, and Leah Whittaker from Mount Kelly, hence the big roar. The junior gold, and I think Chloe rather enjoyed that. They've got a man with the camera tonight. He's actually not much taller, but he's a little bit.
Not, is he? So I think coming up next is going to be the 200-metre breaststroke. So just do a brief overview of that again. The ones to watch are Molly Renshaw. I'm going to say only a 2:23 in the heat. She is a 2:17 swimmer. And Megan Morrison in lane number 7. Only a 2:27 in the heat. But she is another swimmer. She is a 2:22 swimmer. Just not kind of performing in the heats, but I felt like they were just in 3rd gear. An outside chance for Hazel Odkin. Went up against Megan Morrison and beat it in the heats. I think that could be switched around in a few moments' time in the final.
Charlotte Bianchi on to the pool deck first for City of Sheffield. Caris O'Reilly of City of Leicester. Hazal Oscan of Mount Kelly. Hence the screams you can hear. Lily Booker of Loughborough University. Then from the National Centre, looked after by Dave Hemmings, Molly Renshaw in lane 4. Sienna Robinson, the home favourite from City of Sheffield in 5. Molly Main of Hamilton Aquatics. In 6, Megan Morrison of Loughborough. In 7, Beth Dennis, another City of Sheffield swimmer to make the final in lane number 8. And Kerry-Ann Harris of Loughborough, kind of waiting for her name to be called before she comes through the stars in their eyes door. 200 breaststroke. Well, we have somebody who's been in 2 Olympic finals here, so she should be the class act in this field. Molly Renshaw in lane number 4. Let's see which of the youngsters can put her to the sword, if any can. Well, 2-time Olympic finalist Molly Renshaw going for Loughborough National Centre in lane number 4. Which of the youngsters could maybe try to halt the progress of the 25-year-old from Loughborough National Centre? Lily Booker going in lane number 3. Sienna Robinson of City of Sheffield might fancy their chances, but we know that Molly can go considerably quicker than a 2:23.5 that she did this morning, as she is showing here. Class act in the field, of course, of what she's achieved over the last decade. She has been a solid member of the Great Britain World Championships and Olympic squads over the years, and she leads Sienna Robinson by 0.78 at the 50 split. And we know that the strongest part of her race is the back half of her race, so if she's that far in front, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to overwhelm her or overcome her. Sienna Robinson going to make her honest, or keep her honest, in lane number 5. City of Sheffield swimmer is not a million miles away at the halfway stage. 1.33 separates them, and as I say, bad news is that the second half of Molly's race is always the best. But Sienna is the only one really putting any pressure on. And 1 and 2 pretty much clear of everybody else. In terms of third place, Hazel Oscan of Mount Kelly going very well. But Molly Renshaw with 150 looming still has a big advantage. It was 1.37 seconds. It's more than that now going into the final 50. It's 1.75 over Sienna Robinson. So it is now Molly Renshaw against the clock. When that stroke is working as effortlessly as it does and so mechanically as it does, she looks very good indeed. Last 25 for our Olympic finalist, being followed home by the 16-year-old, definitely the future prospect, or one of them anyway, from City of Sheffield, Sienna Robinson. She needs to hold on for a fast finishing Hazel Oscan of Mount Kelly coming through for third place, and finishing quickly too, Lily Booker of Loughborough, but the 1-2-3 is set. 2:18 for Molly Renshaw, 2:18.81, wins that by 4 clear seconds over Sienna Robinson in second place. Third going to Hazel Oscan, just holding off the finishing and fast finishing Lily Booker in 4th.
So great to see the experience winning, and the 16-year-old Sienna Robinson. It's the youth coming through to take silver. A swimmer I'm really pleased for is Hazel Oscan, bronze medalist, the 18-year-old from Mount Kelly. She had such a good heat earlier, beating Megan Morrison, turning around a 5-second disadvantage from the heats to take a 1-second win, and then to come through in the final and take a medal. Great evening's work for her. 3 more races coming up. First of all, the women's 16 and under final. Lotta Schultz of Mount Kelly could get 2 medals in a row here. Mount Kelly, 14 years old, goes in lane number 4 in the junior final.
She's got a lot of bottle. 200 breaststroke for the juniors then. Got some great names in this one. We've got Evie Float, does she? In lane 0. Leah Schlossen of City of Leeds. Louise Bressler of Guildford in 2. Anna Bowley of Repton Swim goes at 3. And then Lotta Schultz. Oh, there she is, 14 years of age. Getting a massive reaction from the crowd, that particular section of the crowd anyway. Kaylin Lansom of City of Manchester Aquatics, Pia Summers-Newton. Now, I think I'm right in saying I'm absolutely certain that her sister was in the Paralympics. Well, I think so, because it's such an unusual name. That must be her sister that was in the Paralympics. Pia Summers-Newton from Northampton. Emma Allett-File of Guildford. Ruby Stevenson of City of Milton Keynes. You never knew that Milton Keynes was a city, did you? It is. And Julie Saller of Hamilton Aquatics. $200 breaststroke for the under-16s, where we have another huge cheer from the Mount Kelly contingent on the far side. Lotta Schultz are going for them in lane number 4 with a 2:31 time from the heats. Hannah Bowley of Repton Swim on one side of her, and Kaylin Lansom of City of Manchester Aquatics in lane number 5. Those are the 3 fastest going into this junior final. And if she needed any support, she's got plenty of it. The 14-year-old from Mount Kelly. Also going very well in lane 0, Evie Float of Plymouth Leander. So only 0.61 between the top 3. There was a joint second with Leah Schlossen. But Schultz is, at the moment, just holding off the advance of lane 5. Kaylin Lansom right on her shoulder at this stage. Those two are pretty well clear, although I say watch Evie Float, who nobody will be able to see, those at the front won't be able to see in lane 0, but these two stroke for stroke going into the wall virtually together here. Won't be much between them, if anything. 8 100ths between Lansom and Schultze at this stage. Kaylin Lansom for City of Manchester Aquatics, Mount Kelly's Lotta Schultz. And not to disregard Leah Schlossen of City of Leeds, who's got 3rd place to herself at the moment. Last part of the race to come very soon when they get to the far end. Last 50 and just powering her way through in lane number 5 now. It's Kaylin Lansom, the 16-year-old from City of Manchester Aquatics. 50 remains, 0.77 advantage between lane 5 and lane 4. Into 3rd place now, Ruby Stevenson, another 14-year-old from the City of Milton Keynes. But it's looking increasingly like the 16-year-old from the City of Manchester Aquatics, who are having a great session here. Looks like potentially another gold for the City of Manchester Aquatics here. Lotta Schultz, the 14-year-old, will have to wait another day to get her gold. Silver for her. Question is, what kind of time now can Kaylin Lansom do? 2:33 in the heats. Well inside that here. 2:27.61 for our winner. Breaking 2:30, Lotta Schultze and Hannah Bowley in 3rd place, 2:33.39. Great win, another win for the City of Manchester Aquatics.
And just to mention that time again, that's 6 seconds quicker than she had in the heats, and she was 2 seconds behind Lotta Schultz in those heats. Now, it was very easy to forget the race for bronze medal there. It was brilliant. I've got to mention Leah Schlossen, Ruby Stevenson. It was Hannah Bailey that eventually won it, but with 50 metres to go, there were 6 swimmers legitimately in that race for bronze. So being won by Hannah Bailey, the best of the rest for the final 50 metres. Congratulations to her, but no doubting the performance of the event. 2:27 for Kaylin Lansom. Absolutely best, left the best until last. 2 races to go. It was heats that you covered, Bob, the men's 200-metre breaststroke. Adam Chillingworth, 2 seconds quicker than anybody else. Got to be your favourite.
Yeah, I'd say so. And he was very solid all the way through. And again, we're looking for the next generation of breaststrokers, because Ross Murdoch won't go on much longer. James Wilby is the wrong side of 20, so he might have one more Olympics in him potentially. He'll have a Commonwealth Games in him for certain. but then we need someone to take it on. Now, obviously, Adam's 24. There are 17-year-olds and a 16-year-old in that one, but Adam Chillingworth is a bit of a late bloomer, a bit of a late developer, really, and we'll see whether he can build on that 209 from early on. Yes, he did look the class act. Aneurin Davis, as I recall, did his time from lane 0 earlier in the day, so he'll have a centre lane this time. Might swim slightly differently because he's in lane 5. Harvey Freeman, Northampton, another one who's built like a breaststroke, you know what I mean? Got a Adam Peaty type build. Harvey Freeman, Matthew Rogers of Bromley, Gregory Butler of Loughborough, and then Olivier Vedren of City of Norwich. They'll be our swimmers in the 200 breaststroke, last senior final of the weekend. Adam Chillingworth was mightily impressive for Plymouth Leander early on today. So much quicker than everybody else with a 209. Rodri Williams, Aneurin Davis with lanes 3 and 5. And look at the start from David Murphy of Loughborough. Not hanging around. Now, is he going for 100 time here or something? Or 50 time perhaps? He's certainly cracking on here. Going at a really fast speed early on. Perhaps he's going to go for a split time here, or perhaps he is going for the win. Perhaps he was holding things back this morning for Loughborough. 2:13, some 4 seconds slower than was Adam Chillingworth. Perhaps he's keeping his powder dry from earlier. Certainly going for it big time in the final. Everybody in the centre lane having to maybe readjust their race to accommodate what David Murphy, the 23-year-old from Loughborough, is doing in lane 0. Well, they are starting to come back to him now. Adam Chillingworth is starting to move his way through. He's in second place. 0.71 separates 1 and 2. 19/100 separates 2 and 3. Third place at the moment going to Yaron Gerber of Ealing. Well, that's a breakneck start from David Murphy. Obviously can't be kept going. He's still just about leading, but Adam Chillingworth moving through for Plymouth Leander in lane number 4. There's quite a scrap on for second and third, but he will take the lead for the first time here on a touch. Well, Adam Chillingworth, Murphy second still. Third place to Rodri Williams. And then it is Harvey Freeman in 4th place. But it's Adam Chillingworth against the clock now. 24-year-old from Plymouth Leander will knock, I'm sure, quite a bit off that 209 from earlier on today. Got a massive lead now in the latter stages of this race. All about Adam against the clock. Murphy's trying to hold on for potentially second place here, although coming strongly in 6 is Harvey Freeman. Chillingworth from Freeman. David Murphy in 3rd place. Chillingworth with a 2:08.03. Harvey Freeman getting into 2nd place. And 3rd after that blitzing start for Loughborough. He held on for 3rd, did David Murphy, with a 2:11.18.
I mean, how often do you see that tactic there? That is quite ridiculous from David Murphy. I literally had my fingers crossed for him for the last 50 metres coming out and back, because he was getting chased so hard down right to the wire. But that is brilliant swimming. Why don't more people do that?
Well, I thought he was going for a split time. I thought he was going for 100 time, because it went off so quickly. I'm thinking, right, is he going to stop at 100 here, just get 100 time, and then just kind of glide in for the rest of the race? But he kept going all the way to the end, and he finished in 3rd place. Interesting way to swim a 200 breast. I would not advise it. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do it quite like that, because that was kind of 100 speed over the first 50, not a 200 speed over the first 50. I'm thinking that's why I thought it might be going for a split time, but he got right through to the end and did a very credible time. I'm not sure that his coach would necessarily be advising him to do that in the future. Maybe they talked about it and it was just to test something out. These are the kind of meets where maybe you should do that.
Yeah, brilliant fun to watch. So keeping us on our toes in the commentary box. One race left of the entire championship now, Bob. It's the 16 years and under Oscar Bilbao of Hamilton Aquatics Dubai, fastest by almost, 0.8 of a second over Sam Smith, and the youngest, or the second youngest in the pool, Philip Nowacki, a 14-year-old. But Oscar Bilbao, 15 years old. Who else are we looking at?
I think Sam Smith, actually, Northampton, I think could be in there. I think both of those in lane 3 and 5 didn't go as quickly as they potentially could do. Elliot Woodburn and Millfield and Sam Smith. I reckon that Oscar Bilbao will have a bit of a fight on his hands with those two. Somebody could come out of left field, I suppose, but I'm certainly thinking it might be 3 or 5 involved in the scrap. And so we come to the final event of these 3 days, Winter Nationals from Swim England, and the junior under 200 meters breaststroke, Oscar Bilbao of Hamilton Aquatics, fastest in lane 4. There's some others around who might well be giving him quite a push. Elliot Woodburn amongst them from Millfield, Sam Smith from Northampton, Vadim Bosk has had a good weekend for Liverpool. Their final swim, so they leave everything in the pool, as indeed Elliot Woodburn of Millfield is doing over the first 50. He's got a 1 second advantage over Bilbao, and then it's Smith in third place in Wolfenden. But Elliot Woodburn, product of Millfield School, is looking pretty strong with the green cap, but all 3 of them in that centre lane look like they've got quite a bit left in the tank. Oscar Bilbao of Hamilton Aquatics in Dubai, the youngest of those 3 at 15 years of age. But Elliot Woodburn is setting the tone, he's setting the pace and saying, right, if you want to try and catch me, you're going to have to come at your pace and not at mine. 1.14 at the halfway stage is the advantage Woodburn has over Bilbao. Top 3 remains exactly the same. Sam Smith of Northampton in third place. All 3 of them, though, very much in the mix for this one. Vadim Bosk has a really fast finish, as he showed this morning, but maybe not quite able to do it tonight at this stage anyway. So there's a real echelon from 3, 4 and 5. Woodburn, Bilbao and Smith with 50 to go. It's remaining that way, but look, the gap is nothing really between all 3. It is actually just under 2 seconds with 50 to go. And front running from the very beginning, Elliot Woodburn, 16 years of age from Millfield. Looks like he might potentially be extending this. Sam Smith coming right back onto the shoulder of Oscar Bilbao. Last 25, looking more and more likely it's going to be a final win for Millfield and Elliot Woodburn. What kind of time can he set? Second place, that's anybody's. It could be either Bilbao or Smith. And Bilbao gets it by 2/100ths of a second. Elliot Woodburn comfortable in the victory, 2:13.42, but then just 2/100ths between second, Oscar Bilbao of the Hamilton Aquatics Club, and Northampton Sam Smith in third, with Vadim Bosk in fourth place.
Well, absolutely spot on with your prediction there, Bob. Said Elliot Woodburn and Sam Smith might come through. Elliot Woodburn doing it. Samuel Smith, 200ths of a second. What a great race to end these championships. A combination of absolute domination from the start from Elliot Woodburn. Went ahead very early on and never ever looked back. And a really tight and nip-in-tuck race from Oscar Bilbao and Samuel Smith for silver and bronze. So the Hamilton Aquatics Dubai team member. They've had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. The Invitational team, plenty of commemorative medals, and they've got a very young team too, just 15 years old, Oscar Bilbao. So rounds out a fantastic 3-day championship, plenty of highlights, plenty of multiple gold medal winners, and a couple of ceremonies, of course, still to come for you. Your highlights of the weekend, Bob, there's been some in terms of races and performances from individuals.
Well, Ruben has to take it for me. I mean, 4 gold medals on 2 nights. 16-year-old from Manchester comes through pretty much unheralded, pretty much unheard of before we got to this weekend, and just pretty much nailed every race he had. He did look brilliant, I've got to say, in the heats this morning. I'm thinking, oh, it's taking its toll. 2 days of hard action has really taken its toll, and he bounces back massively tonight to take another gold medal. So yeah, you got to say that. And well, there have been so many in the women's, because you've been mainly watching the women's this week.
Yeah, you got the famous names, the Molly Wenshaws, the Sophie Freemans. I think everybody performed as anticipated when the top of the field, the big names we know. But so many youngsters such as Evie Dilly, Honey Oswin for me stood out on a couple of occasions. But so many performances. We keep looking forward towards the Commonwealth Games next year. You've got Paris in 3 years, not 4, of course, with the delayed Tokyo Olympics. So lots of names to remember and look forward to. I think next year is going to be a little bit too soon for some, but 16, 15 years old, Paris is on the cards.
Well, this is the 100 backstroke presentation, and Joe Litchfield at the top of the podium where he loves to be. Cam Brooker in second place for Wickham, another Bath swimmer who's joined by a teammate, Jonathan Adam, in third place. And the 3 juniors are 2 Matthews, Cairns and Ward, and Lewis Warner. So Millfield, Mount Kelly and Bassilor taking the gold, silver and bronze in that one. Still 2 more ceremonies to come. Men's 200 breast and women's 200 breast to come. So women's will be first. Obviously we won't get the sheet for the 100 breast quite yet, but we have got the women's. So let's say 2 more. And, there's been a lot of medals for a lot of different clubs this weekend, which has been good. It's been quite nicely spread around. It hasn't always been the national centres who've been taking the medals, and of course a lot of them have, like Joe Litchfield, for example, just then, but some of the smaller clubs and some of the smaller operations around the country are getting a good look in.
Yeah, we mentioned Chelsea West, Wolverhampton Royals. Saw Jersey Tigers in there in the final as well. Not too many of them. So yeah, really good exposure for these. I don't like the term smaller clubs, but it is that is possibly the right term.
So this will be the 200 breaststroke presentation. And not surprising to see Molly Renshaw at the top with Sienna Robinson second and Hazel Oscan in third in the seniors. And in fact, that is the junior gold for Sienna, because we can move things down for Charlotte Bianchi, who got the junior silver. She was 9th in the senior final, so only one person in the junior final gets a medal. That's Caitlin Lansom, who won it. She'll get the bronze. That sounds rather confusing, but Molly Main also gets the medal. So Molly Renshaw, Sienna Robinson and Molly Main. Oh, Molly Main gets the commemorative medal. Yeah, that's what the C stands for, Bob. And the juniors are Sienna Robinson, Charlotte Bianchi and Caitlin Lansom. Hazel Oscan getting the silver. It's a little bit confusing when we start moving things around from different competitions, but Molly Renshaw, actually Fina points wise, 911, that's quite high.
That's a big number, isn't it?
911's not bad at all. I mean, 1,000 is a world record, generally, or thereabouts, so 911's a pretty useful time, to be honest.
Now, if we were giving out medals for supporters, I'd say gold to Mount Kelly,
so.
Silver for Millfield, and bronze for Plymouth Leander.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that. It's a pretty good combination. They're certainly very vocal. They're now wondering how long it's going to take for them to get their throats back on Monday morning, probably. But
now, we might have a little bit of a wait here to get our paperwork up for the 200-metre breaststroke, especially for the men here, the last race of the day. Late on yesterday, we'd have a greyhound rush up and give us a bit of paperwork, didn't we? They were keen to get done and out the door.
Yes, I wonder where that dog came from. Yeah, we're nearly at the end. And the other thing is they're going to have to try and find the swimmers. We'll probably have a swim down at the moment going, oh, already? You want us now? Yeah, we do. We could certainly do with that. You're right. That sheet has not yet arrived with us, nor of the swimmers for that matter.
And there's several long drives involved for teams here across the entire country. Wouldn't want to drive back to Plymouth tonight.
No.
I mean, personally, I live on the south coast. I've got about a 5-hour drive ahead of me, so it's not a short one. But I'd rather Sussex than Plymouth.
Yeah, some are going all the way back to Devon. There's a team from Lewin, Cornwall, who've got a really long drive. None of them made the final, so they've been heading off earlier today, but still a very long journey back for them. We'll wait for the 200 breaststroke final event of this competition for men, for the presentation ceremony for that. And, a great race to round things off here. What's been a very good 3 days at Ponds Forge. The action's come thick and fast. So there's been a lot of names that we've seen who we didn't hitherto know. We know the Litchfields, of course. We know the Jacob Peters. We know those kind of swimmers. But seeing those 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds come through that we'll be talking about, hopefully, if not for Paris, certainly for Los Angeles and beyond. It's a very cyclical sport. People tend to have gone by the age of 30. Some go a little bit beyond, but not very many. Well, it has to be a refresh every few years. And Olympic cycles do bring a lot of people to get inspired when they watch the Olympics. And even if they're kind of on the cusp of, oh, shall I carry on with my swimming? That kind of thing sometimes gives them the galvanization to keep going. Go, do you know what? I could do that. You know, if you're a decent swimmer and you think you've got a possibility of making an Olympic Games or a big tournament or a big competition, it's the kind of thing that keeps you in the sport for a little longer.
Now, there are so many sort of big tournaments. If you think about the Olympics, is obviously number one. You've got the World Championship, Europeans, Commonwealth Games. Things like the Commonwealth, that'll be the pinnacle for some people.
Yeah.
Is that enough to inspire some swimmers?
Well, I think it is, and also it's a realistic goal for a lot of swimmers, because although some might see it as like a school sports day, and some do, or a glorified school sports day, it does give the opportunity for those who are just a little bit below Olympic and World Championship level to get on a team. Because if you're in a GB team, you've got Scots like Duncan Scott, you've got Dan Jervis for Wales. You know, obviously you're battling with people from other parts of the UK. If you have 3 spots than you do for England, it gives you a little bit more reign. And I know people who only just did the Commonwealth Games, never got a chance to do a major event outside of that. But it's something they'll treasure because it is it's seen as a major event. You're up against Australia, you're up against Canada, you're up against 2 very strong nations, and then you've got Scotland, Wales, and England all in the mix as well. So it's certainly worthwhile. Hope we haven't run out of medals. I hope they are holding. We had no problem the first couple of days with them falling apart a little bit, but somebody's been doing the crocheting overnight to make sure they don't fall apart. And these are the recipients for the 200 breaststroke, last event here at Ponds Forge. Pictures to be taken.
We've got 3 on the bronze medal podium now. Who's the commemorative out of that? Well, there must be a commemorative in there somewhere. Is that a Hamilton Dubai swimmer that we had right at the end?
Right. Yeah, that will be. Yeah, with that orange top. So they're affiliated to Swim England. And off they go, and indeed off we go, because that's the last action of any note here at Ponds Forge. Thank you, sir, for your company this evening. And thank you for watching us on YouTube over the last 3 days. We look forward to the next time we do it all again. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage from Ponds Forge, but from the Winter Nationals here at Ponds Forge in Sheffield, from Swim England, we'll bid you a very good night. Bye-bye.